Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me over.
No problem. So, in a few minutes, just tell us about yourself and what you do.
All right. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I've been in the corporate world most of my life. Last year, I decided to start a business. Actually, I started two businesses. One is a franchise and one in the travel industry. So, as part of the franchise business, what I do is for people who want to be their own bosses or people who don't even know that they want to be their own bosses, I plant the idea in their heads and I match them to a suitable franchise based on what they want to do, what they're looking for, their investment capabilities, their passions, and so on. And all this at absolutely no cost to them.
So, how did you start in the franchise business?
So I was when I was looking for my travel franchise, I spoke with a lot of franchise consultants, and I liked what they were doing, and I've had an interest in franchises for some time. So I thought while I'm looking for a franchise for myself for my own benefit, I could also help some other people in getting a franchise for themselves because it's all about listening to people, understanding their needs, gathering the requirements from them, and then doing the research for them and presenting a subset of options to them, which is all the things that I like to do, enjoy doing, and I think I'm good at those. So that's why I went into this business.
So, what is the startup cost for a franchise for someone that wants to go into this kind of business?
Somebody who wants to go into this business, you have to become, or at least the way I did that's what I became part of an association, and the association cost could range anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000 just to be a member and to get trained and get access to the database of franchises, get to understand how to talk to the franchisors and franchisees and what to say, what not to say to understand the laws and regulations. So that's pretty much the cost for it, and then everything else that comes along with it is the cost of any other startup, like setting up your company and buying software for this and a host of other costs.
Okay. And these franchises are they big, well-known businesses that you are starting your own branch of, or
Sorry, can you say that one more time, please?
so these franchises that you work with? Who are some of them?
So there are several of them. There are different categories. So one thing I want to clarify is that when people say franchises, most of the people think it's Subway and McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, but franchises are much more than that. They are available in every category. Since the time I got involved in these franchises, I've looked around and anywhere I see any billboard or anything I see, it's mostly a franchise. You look at anything, senior care homes, home improvement, college moving, to hunks moving stuff and all that. Everything is a franchise.
Okay. And what are some benefits to working in the franchise industry?
So one of the biggest benefits of the franchise industry is that you are your own boss, but yet you work within a certain framework provided by the franchisor. So I would say some of the risk is then absorbed by the franchisor because you have to market, yes, your business, but you also have the muscle of the franchisor behind you in terms of marketing, in terms of the name, and that's why you pay them the franchise fees because they give you access to their trademark, their logos, and their marketing muscle and their lead generation and all that. So you go under all of that. You work under a certain framework, like I said, but yet you have enough flexibility to run it like your own business the way you want to.
And how long does it take after the startup fees and everything to start realizing some profits?
So that's something that unfortunately we cannot be advertised because we are regulated by the FDA. But I would say roughly anywhere, it's like any other business. It would take about a year, 2 years to get profitable. I want to set those expectations because a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, will I be a millionaire next month?" No, it's like any other business. You have to put your efforts in and you have to put the money in and you have to invest in it, your money and time both. And that's when you start realizing the profits.
Okay. So what are some obstacles that you ran into when you were transitioning from the corporate world into starting your own business?
Actually, that's a great question because I wouldn't say obstacles, but some of the challenges that I faced that time and I'm still facing is pretty much getting the word out there in terms of educating people about franchises. Because, like I said earlier, as I reach out to people or as people reach out to me, they are, for the most part, not aware of how franchises work. So, a lot of my time, I would say 80% of my time, is spent in educating them about franchises. What is really a franchise? How does it work? And there are people who come to me and say, I have $500 in the bank, I want to go with the McDonald's. And I tell them, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to invest more than that. You have to invest your time. Or they just want to say, I want to just sit at home and let the money come in. And I say, for that, you have stocks. You don't have to buy a franchise for that. So one of my biggest obstacles, to answer your question, is to impart the right kind of education, to tell people what they do. And fortunately and unfortunately, most of the people drop off after this conversation because they just come in with a different expectation, and I kind of reset their expectations. But the ones that stay on, or the ones that are already knowledgeable about franchises, they are the ones that I can pursue, and then I can hook them up with the right franchisors and the right franchises.
What drove you to start your own business? As in, some people become dissatisfied with, the consistent pay every week or every month. What drove you?
So the only thing that was keeping me in the corporate life was the consistent pay, But my heart was always in doing something for myself, for running the way things, for running the way that I want to run things, for just managing my own time, and basically just being my own boss, because it's a whole different ball game, and I've been doing this for about a year now. I wouldn't say I am there where I want to be, but if it doesn't go well, I'll have a hard time going back to the corporate world because I've tasted blood now. I like the way I do things, and I like the way how I set my own schedule, set my own customers, set my own client, and so on. So I would love to do it this way and continue doing it this way.
And what are some of your biggest accomplishments so far in the last year in your professional life?
So really, in the last year, one of the big things that I've done is establish my business. I mean, I've gotten the word out there. I have a semi-solid base of clientele. I am able to talk about franchises and do it and articulate it well, and at least sound like I know what I'm talking about. So it's been a learning curve for me also, but I can talk about my business with conviction, and I'm pretty convinced about it myself.
Wonderful. Awesome. So, are there any leaders that you looked up to in the process of that inspired you to make the move that you did?
I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, so I always follow him, and I love the way he does his TED talks and everything. So he's been my inspiration for this. But any other person who starts a business and is successful at is, in my eyes, a leader and my inspiration.
Okay, wonderful. So, what is the most important realization that you made about yourself in the process of starting your own business? Whether that could be a personal realization, getting over fears of failure.
So I knew this, but it reinforced the feeling in my head that I'm a little more impatient than I would like to be. I like to have results very quickly, but it doesn't work that way in business. Especially, you just have to be patient. I was so used to the, like it's alluded to earlier, the steady paycheck and everything, and now with the or earlier when nothing was coming in, it was pretty nerve-wracking and overwhelming, because money only goes out as you're trying to establish the business and nothing is coming. But I've learned that everything comes with patience, and now I'm at a point where I got several irons in the fire, and hopefully something will take off of those. And so patience is the key to this whole thing.
What's your biggest business insight so far? What you've learned that would maybe help someone in the same position as you were start up with a little bit easier, a little bit of a head start?
So, honestly, the mistake I made initially was I underestimated marketing, and I relied heavily on friends and family. While they are very supportive, it's very good, but they cannot, just by relying on your friends and family only, this may not take off. So you've got to get the word out there. You've got to spend money in marketing, you've got to spend time in marketing, and whatever works for you. There's no rule book or anything about marketing there. It really depends on your business, your social circle, who your reach, and you can reach out to, whether you want to do newspaper advertising or next door advertising or social media advertising or just put flyers out there. It just depends on how you want to do it, but marketing is the key to this whole thing. You've got to get the word out there, and do it in such a way that that it makes sense. When I look at the first flyers that I put up, they're so different from the flyers that I put up today, because as I've learned, based on people's reactions and people's approaching me, I realized I've been fine tuning those flyers and fine tuning those my advertising material accordingly.
What are the main ways that you market today?
So having said that, I still rely a lot on friends and family and their referrals, because once I've gotten word out to them, they can talk about me and about my business to other friends and family. But I'm also doing a lot of social media advertising. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, because I talk about my business there. And any chance I get, even at the cost of being annoying, I start talking about my business. And at least, if nothing else, at least I get the word out there. At least people listen to me, at least, and I try to be brief and succinct about it, not not just going on and on. So that also helps. So in a nutshell, I can give them an elevator pitch and just leave it there.
Right. What's your biggest financial lesson for the audience? So moving into their own entrepreneurial journey.
So I had just followed the rule of keeping something aside for 3 to 6 months. That may not work, because COVID can hit, or the economy could go down, or the gas prices could go up. So many things could go wrong, which could affect your business adversely. So I would say that keep at least a couple of years worth of savings aside, in case you want to have time for the business to take off and really be successful at that. Because in the first few months, just be prepared for it. In the first few months, the it's going to be rough in the financial perspective. You're just going to have outflow of cash, and pretty much no inflow in the first few months. I would say the first year or something. And especially in my case, because I was doing two businesses at the same time, it was double the hurt and double the pain in that case.
Right. And what got you through that anxiety and fear of failure?
So I have to thank my family. The support of my family was obviously very important here. But again, I had kept some money aside, and and that also helped me. And just fine tuning and learning from every single experience you have, and not getting bogged down. Uh, you know, Anything that came along to me, I took it as a learning, and I learned from it. And from there, I fine tuned my approach. And like I said earlier, today, when I look at what I talk about or what I advertise to people versus what I was doing 6 months back, it's quite different. So I've just been learning and growing along with it.
Wonderful. And do you plan to own multiple franchises at one point?
Yes, so this business that I'm talking about, the franchises all over company, that's the one that matches people to the right franchises. So that is just my association with the membership. But the other business that I have is a travel franchise. So currently, these two are keeping me very busy. But yes, to answer your question, my hope is that once these two settle down and I have a solid client base, I want to own another franchise, which I will obviously buy through my own company.
Wonderful. And what is your vision of financial freedom for you and your family? What does it mean to you?
It means having enough that maintains or enhances a standard of living, and not have to worry about the day-to-day expenses. I mean, to be very honest, that is why I got into business, to be able to live comfortably for me and future generations. And I hope I can sustain and maintain that.
Where is a ideal place of living for you? Is it San Antonio, or do you guys want to move anywhere else?
So no, so currently I'm in San Antonio, but we are contemplating a move to Florida. I
Okay.
want to be by the ocean, so hopefully that'll happen. A lot depends on how well the business does in the next few months. So hopefully that'll happen. I would love to live in Europe at some point of time and have a little bakery, but I don't know how to bake, but I want to learn to bake and then just bake bread in Italy. But for right now, I'll be happy with Miami or someplace in Florida.
And what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Sorry.
What legacy do you want to leave behind?
I want to have my daughter take over my business at some point of time. I don't know whether she'll be happy to or not, but that's the legacy that I want to leave behind. But if not, I just want my name and business to be continuing even afterwards.
Wonderful. And finally, what's a message you'd like to leave with the audience?
So one thing I want to say is don't get disheartened because there are going to be failures no matter how prepared you are, no matter how smart you are, no matter how you've thought through everything. There's going to be failures, there's going to be lessons that come along to you. Just dust yourself off, pick everything up and start all over again, and it'll all come to you in due course of time. It'll come to you, and just learn from my lesson. Just be patient, it'll come.
So staying consistent and you know, staying consistent with one thing is how you get good at it.
Absolutely. Stay consistent and keep fine tuning your approach, because you might think what you're thinking today or what you're doing today is the greatest idea in the world, but it may not work for everybody. So listen to feedback, keep your eyes and ears open, and as you get feedback, as you get reactions to that, fine tune it because what may have worked for you all this time may not be working for you in this business per se.
Right. I think a lot of people, they try to start a business or try to learn a new skill, and then maybe they're picking it up well at first, but then they hit a roadblock and becomes a little hard to get to the next level. And when they experience that hardship, it disheartens them, and maybe this isn't for me. And they try something new, and they keep doing that every couple of months, keep trying something new for years and years and years, but they never stick with one thing to get good at it. It takes time, right?
Absolutely, you got to stick to it, and as long as you believe in it, as long as you definitely believe in it. Because if somebody has just pushed you into it, you may find it hard to stick to it, But as long as you believe in it, as long as you can think about it and speak about it with conviction, it's something that will come to you.
Yeah, speaking about it with conviction and really, yeah, believing in
Yeah,
what you're doing. If
absolutely.
you experience hardship, your purpose will push you through it.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for joining me, Vic. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Yep. And I look forward to our second episode talking about your travel business in the future.
Absolutely. I'll look forward to it. Thank you very much.
No problem.